They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast. One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on. Unrestricted podcast listeners, thank you so much for clicking play. And if you're on YouTube, I really appreciate it. Those numbers are going up, up, and up because of you, with your likes, your comments, your shares. So do me a favor, share it with a friend. Tell a friend about the show because in return, anything that we make money off of goes right back into this thing. And if you want merch, allrock.com, ALLRAWK.com. Go get your merch. Across from me, I got a very special guest, somebody I haven't seen in a very long time.
In what, over a decade?
Over a decade.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to say now because ever since high school, life has just shot every which way, right?
Yep.
Life hit us. I know it's hit you. I've seen your journey. I've been following the journey, and I'm really excited to get into this thing. I got Doug Cartwright right across from me. An Amazon bestseller. A sales coaching guru. I don't know if that's the right term.
Call it what you want, baby.
Alchemy
Sales coaching, yeah.
Sales coaching.
Personal development platform. What
made you get into this whole sales realm?
Man, it's been quite a journey. It's actually my latest project, Alchemy Sales Coaching. I launched that business about 1.5 years ago. It is called Alchemy Sales Coaching, but it is more of a personal development platform. I started about 1.5 years ago, just for fun, kind of see what would happen. And we've created an incredible community of just inspired individuals who are really focused on what we call the whole person paradigm. So they're really concerned and connected to their physical health, their mental health, their emotional health, and their spiritual health. And so those are kind of the 4 areas of health I focus on.
Yeah.
And at least in my life, that if I don't take care of one of those 4 buckets, like my physical health is off, or my mental health, or my emotional health, it greatly impacts my ability to perform in life just in general. It affects my relationships. It affects my overall quality of life. And so I kind of realized that if you really dial in on those 4 buckets, everything increases. Your performance increases, your happiness increases, your friendships are deeper and more meaningful, and it overall enhances the quality of your life. And so this program is really just designed to help inspire individuals to become the best versions of themselves.
What was the spark to it?
I was in the sales industry for a decade, and for 2010s basically, I worked at Vivint Smart Home. Did really, really well over there, and realized while I was there that I was actually missing kind of the inner fulfillment. My business was doing good, finances were doing great, but my physical health wasn't taken care of. My relationships weren't that deep and meaningful, and I didn't really have connection or purpose on something bigger. And then in 2017, I went kind of into my spiritual journey and had about a 2-year sabbatical from 2017 to 2019, and really dove into what like a lot of people call as the woo-woo. So like meditation and yoga and a lot of deep psychedelic ceremonies, and really did like a lot of personal healing. And that journey ended up becoming a book. So I ended up writing a book called Holy Shit, We're Alive, which is a bestseller. And then post-book, I realized, I'm actually still good at sales. And now I have all this new knowledge and new information on fulfillment and connection. I'm like, why don't I combine the two and create a business and see what happens? And that's how we all started.
Are you still doing the Shift app thing?
Daily Shifts is still up and live. Yep, that app's running. But Daily Shifts has now kind of grown into a bigger personal development platform at Alchemy. And so there's a couple of businesses at play here.
How was the spiritual journey? How was that? Who was the person that introduced you to that way of life, I guess, or that test of yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spiritual journey is interesting. I mean, before 2017, I would have never labeled myself as like a spiritual person. I I grew up in Utah here, so a lot of us are familiar with the Mormon or LDS church. I did grow up Mormon and never fully like resonated with it. And I didn't feel like connected to God per se. And was kind of just going through the motions, kind of fell away from that in my mid 20s. And then through the work of psychedelics, I went deep into these ayahuasca circles and these ceremonies, and they were really, really life-changing, really impactful. And that was kind of the first time I felt connected to something like bigger than myself.
What is that? What is the, I mean, because I've heard about these spiritual awakening type of journeys with the hape, and doing these kind of rituals and detoxing your body of this thing and seeing the thing, I guess the thing that you've been running away from or whatever the person sees.
Yep.
And I hear that they're really intense. So how was like that moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right. It shows you the thing you don't want to look at. In my experience, in my conversations, most everyone, and I'm sure everyone listening, had some type of experience in their childhood that was very traumatic. It's like that thing we don't talk about, the thing that happened with mom or with dad or with your cousin, or like that one thing that we don't talk about. And it kind of forces you to deal with it. And the biggest takeaway, I mean, there was a lot of really big takeaways. But I remember in 2017, it was like the first time I went to therapy, and my therapist was like, pretty bluntly, right when we sat down, she's like, hey, so what's like kind of your major trauma? And I looked at her and I'm like, I don't have any trauma. And she laughed. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't really have any trauma. And so then I go into these, psychedelic medicine experiences, and it really kind of shows you that thing you don't want to look at. And post those ceremonies, I was like, oh man, I've got a lot of trauma. And, kind of piecing it together, a common thread that I see is that every single person I've had conversations with, or most people in life, had an experience in their childhood and that was intense, that we call trauma. And the interesting thing about trauma too is it has a misconception, because when we hear the word trauma, we think of like this really big, nasty, intense, like you got in a really intense car accident, or you were, molested by your uncle in the closet, like this really big thing. And so some of us that don't have that experience, we tend to disregard trauma because like, oh, I didn't have that really big experience.
Yeah.
But in my work, I've realized that trauma is any time you had an experience, and because of that experience, you then believe that you are less than. I don't belong. I don't fit in. Something's wrong with me. And that story of what's wrong with me is kind of what dictates our whole life. So the framework I work on is that every single person has what I call the lie. The lie happens. Something happens when you in your, adolescence, and because of that experience, you then tell yourself a lie that you're not enough. So, and it could be really, really basic. So the example I use is when I remember being in second grade, and I grew up chubby. I grew up overweight. And there was this one day I was out on recess, second grade, and I was wearing these basketball shorts. And these basketball shorts on the front panel, on the front of the shorts, it had in big letters the size of the short. So if it was a small, it was an S. If it was an XL, it was an XL. And so this one day, we're out playing at recess, and this fifth grader was wearing the same brand of shorts that I was wearing. I was in second grade, and I had an XL, and he was a really scrawny, small kid, and he had a medium. And he noticed that we're wearing the same shorts, and then I was an XL as a second grader, and he's like, you're in second grade, and you are an extra large, fatty? You're just a fat kid. And I remember being like, internalizing, I'm like, oh, shoot, something's wrong with me. Like, I don't belong. I don't fit in. And because I don't fit in, I want to fit in, so I need to figure out how I can manipulate or gain people's approval so that they accept me. So I'll become the really, really funny kid, or I'll be the really, really nice kid, or I'll show up in a way to gain approval. So again, we all have the lie that happens.
Yeah.
And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to prove that lie false. So from after second grade, and we're doing this all subconsciously, second grade, it's like, okay, I don't fit in because something's obviously wrong with me because of my weight. So now I need to gain everyone's approval. So now I'll manipulate and change the way I show up to gain acceptance, to gain validation. And that was running my whole life for 20 years. And so taking it back to your question, you know, what do these experiences do? These spiritual awakenings is they force you to look at these experiences that you aren't connecting the dot on. And then you do that inner self-work of self-love and acceptance and forgiveness and whatnot, and learn to move through those experiences. So it's really powerful and really transformational.
How do you obviously you have to, in everything that you're doing, whether if it's the book, these ceremonies, you know, telling people about your teachings and these coachings and whatnot, you have to gain some type of trust, right? So how is that? How do you gain the trust of people to bring them to these experiences and teach them your knowledge?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it goes back to just vulnerability, right? I think just by sharing my experiences, you know, those that have read my book, you know, I end up opening up and talking about how I was sexually abused as a kid, and I was sexually abused by a male, right? And that's a very vulnerable conversation to have. And I was astonished to find out how many people related to that. You know, I was only 6 years old. And so it's less about me trying to gain people's trust and more about like, hey, let's just have open and raw, vulnerable conversations to help the collective heal and collective just to live better, happier lives. And just kind of by sharing my stories, I had a lot of people reach out to me asking for help. And so it's interesting you asked at the very beginning, you know, how did you start this business? I wasn't ever planning on starting to build a coaching business or planning on building a personal development platform. It kind of just happened by people reaching out and also sharing their stories. And so I wanted to kind of create a community of other people who are like really committed to being the best version of themselves in whatever career they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's telling in 2023 that people are being more vulnerable, more honest. Are you familiar with Rob Eastman?
I don't know that name.
So Rob is he's a life coach kind of thing. He's been through a whole lot: drugs, sexual abuse. He just had a book, Warrior in the Garden. It's on, I think it's number one bestseller or something like that.
Amazing.
The week that it came out. And he's local. He's from here. And we were talking about in the, you know, when we're growing up, you know, the generation before us, they didn't talk about mental health.
Right.
The generation that we're in now, we're talking about mental health. We're talking about being vulnerable and stuff. And I asked him, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. In the generation that we're in now, what are we missing? Because the generation before us was missing the mental health, the talking, the vulnerability. But we corrected that wrong. We're doing it now. But what are we currently in this generation? What are we missing now?
It's a really good question. I think, you know, it does seem like our generation is a little bit more vulnerable. It does seem like our generation is more open and expressive and healing, which is really, really important. The piece that I see kind of from a distance is the piece that happens after you share, after you're vulnerable, after you open up, after you're willing to address it, and it's actually doing the work.
You know what's crazy? He said the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's doing the actual work. You know, is a lot of power and vulnerability, and it's important. And you actually got to, you know, my favorite analogy is one thing that I see in the generation kind of below us is, for example, let's use the example of, let's say I wanted to get really good at doing push-ups, right? I want to be the number one guy in the world, Guinness World Record. I'm going to set the Guinness World Record of doing push-ups. And what I see a lot of people doing is they're going to go out and they're going to buy the new outfit and the new shorts and the new t-shirt, and they're going to buy a new water bottle, and they're going to get their iPad set up to do the course on it. And then they're going to go read the book, and then they're going to listen to the podcast, and then they're going to buy the perfect push-up, and then they're going to interview the guy who does the best push-ups, but they actually don't do the push-ups, right?
Yeah.
There's only one way to get better at push-ups. It's to do them.
Do the work.
I can't pay someone to do it. I can't hack it. I can't skip it. I just have to do push-ups. And from what I see a lot of people missing is they get really caught up in the newest podcast about it, or read the book about it, or I'm going to go invest my time and buy the new outfit, but they're actually not doing the push-ups. They're not doing the work. And, I do, on top of like a lot of healing work, I've done a lot of personal development. I've read a lot of books and I've gone to a lot of courses, and I've actually feel like there is one true serious life hack. Like there's actually one real magic bullet to life.
This is the clip right here.
This is the clip. There's only one true magic life hack.
What is that?
It's swallowing the hard pill that there is no life hack. And what I mean by that is, rather than negotiating with yourself or trying to find the hack or trying to make it easier or trying to, increase the speed on some magic way, you just get right to work. Like you swallow the hard pill. There is no shortcut in life. And what happens is it actually makes life easier because then you stop negotiating with yourself. Prime example this morning, I'm in town visiting. I grew up here, but I live in Los Angeles now.
Boom.
And I love LA.
I've never even been, so I'm like, judging it.
Yeah. See, it's fine. But prime example, I knew I was doing this podcast. I've got brunch with my sister after this. So I woke up early. I was going to wake up early and go get a workout in. And my alarm went off this morning. And it was one of those where you're like dead asleep and it like you jerk. Mm-hmm. And I was deep sleep. And in my head, my mind went to snooze. It's okay. It's Sunday. Take the day off. But I'm like, it's, 6 a.m. I'm supposed to feel tired right now. And you just swallow the hard pill. There is no shortcut and you just got to get up. And I do think that is the one major life hack that a lot of people miss, is that there's no shortcut in this thing. You got to do the work. And the sooner you can swallow the hard pill, that there is no shortcut, it actually makes life easier.
But you gotta swallow that pill, man.
You gotta swallow that. Swallowing the pill is the hardest part.
So, everything that you're doing, it does not look easy. When I look at this retreat that you've put together and that you've done, it doesn't look like an easy thing to do, right? Do you have a team behind you? Did you build a team?
Yeah, so part of Alchemy is we also host in-person events. So in the fall, we do a reset retreat. We go up into the mountains, California. We go stay in these really nice glamping tents, and we've got programming during the day on mindset and personal development and health and fitness. And then at night, we've got DJs and we do breath work, and we turn the vibes up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it takes 6-7 months to plan an event, and I've been really blessed to have a team. A project coordinator, event coordinator, and another team. And on that note, I'm actually hosting an event, a personal development event here in Utah, January 23rd and 24th, open to the public. This is called the Alchemy Excellence event. And it's all about personal mastery. So in your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, we're going to have world-renowned speakers. And so it's definitely open to the public. We'd love to see everyone there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why bring it to Utah?
It's home, right? I've got my roots here. Got a lot of really good connections here, and just want to be able to share what I've created back with my people back here.
When you talk about, when we were talking about trauma, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that's been in your book and everything that you've talked about, do you have when you hear the word Utah and the state of Utah and the city that you grew up in? What's the feeling that you get? Is there anger? Is there I love this place, I'm glad I'm back? Is there what's the feeling when you come back home?
It's changed over the years, right? When I first moved my first time I left was 2019. I moved to Austin, Texas. And when I would hear Utah, I would create a little bit of a cringe, right? It was like a lot of the old way of living. But I've done a lot of work. And I've done a lot of healing. And now when I hear Utah, it makes me really excited. I love Utah. I've got a lot of friends here. My roots are here. Especially coming to Utah in the fall. Are you kidding me? It was a beautiful fall this fall, yeah. Right? And so I love Utah. And, there's a part of me that thinks I'll probably end up moving back here eventually in the future and hopefully to raise a family here.
How's LA living?
I think LA is so underrated. There's definitely parts of LA.
Ho.
Underrated.
It's LA.
Underrated.
I don't equate LA with underrated. Mm-hmm. But I'm a small city guy, right? Yep. I've only lived I lived in Portland too, but Utah is home. Salt Lake City's home. And when I think of LA, I think of Hollywood. I think of the shine, the brightness, the celebrity, right? I don't think of underrated.
Yeah, there's so many parts about LA, right? Just depending on where you live in the city, it's a completely different experience, right? You can go do the Hollywood Hill glam and do the Hollywood Hills parties, and that's fun, and you can do that every now and then. And then you go over to the west side. I live on the west side, so I live in Venice Beach, so next to Santa Monica, where it's a little bit more casual, slower pace, a little more flowy. And then you go to east side LA, like near Dodger Stadium, Silver Lake, and that's more little hipster, got a little Brooklyn feel to it. You can go up to Topanga, and it's a little bit more mountain, kind of hippie vibes, and you go down to, and then, south from there. So there's, each part of LA kind of has a different vibe and experience. I live on the west side, where it's a really smooth pace, pretty close to the beach. And I love it. A lot of people say they hate LA. There was a part of me that's like, I'll never live in LA. And now that I've been there for 2 years, I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Do you feel like that's the type of place you want to be or need to be to help Alchemy grow?
The beautiful thing about Alchemy is our members are all across the country. So from Florida, Texas, Arizona, Oregon, Utah, California, and it's all online. And so I can basically be anywhere, anytime, and be working. So once I created my business that way, I'm like, where do I want to live? I'm interested in growing my community and my friend group, and the dating scene in LA I really enjoy it. And so I'm going to go live next to the beach where it's 75 and breezy every day.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. But I do love these crisp 30, 40 degree mornings.
It's nice.
The autumn.
It's nice.
You can go the loop. You can do the loop.
We love the loop.
Oh, man, my family, man, I got a 10-year-old, I got a 5-year-old, and about to be 3-year-old. And anytime we go for these drives, I remind them, I'm like, look at the scenery. We are very blessed to have this. You know what I mean? The mountains that we wake up, it's just another, mountain. We live here, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, when I have my friends from New York come into town or Texas come into town, they're just like, man, this is beautiful. You guys get to see this every day. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah, one thing for sure, when you move away and then you come back to visit, you're like blown away. You always greatly, underestimate how beautiful it is to live here. You take it for granted. Every time I come back and see the mountains, I'm just like, ooh, love it.
So you said that dating in LA has been pretty good.
Yeah, I've loved it.
Dating in 2000, I've never done the whole online dating thing. How is dating?
It just depends. It's so interesting. Dating in Utah is so different than dating in LA, which is so different than dating in New York, which is so different than dating in Austin, Texas. Currently single as we film this podcast, but my experience in LA, I've dated incredible, amazing women, and I've learned a lot. And I'm really grateful for all of the relationships and connections that I've had since being in LA. And, one thing that's incredible about dating in LA is there's an infinite amount of really beautiful women doing cool things. And, dating in Utah is a little bit different.
Because we know of them all.
we know everyone. We know everybody. Yeah, everyone kind of knows everyone. No, dating in Utah is great too. And but yeah, I've really enjoyed my dating experience in LA.
So you do want to start a family?
I hope so. I'm also okay if I don't. On that note, yeah, I think one insight I do want to share with the listeners is something that I've personally been working through as I do all of this study on personal development and whatnot. And by no means I'm no perfect expert. I'm always still learning and growing too. Is this mindset and the way we talk to ourselves is so important, and it really dictates the quality of our life. My favorite definition of success is when life is happening inside of you in a beautiful way.
What do you mean by that?
Like your internal experience. Right? How is your internal experience? Are you calm, relaxed, at ease, joyful, open, connected? And that's true success, is like when you're having a really beautiful internal experience. And so I've been working with the new mantra, and a mantra is basically just like a phrase or a way of self-talk. And if I'm going through a big problem at work or a relationship there's friction, or I'm feeling anxiety about my future, or I'm feeling far behind, and I'm sure most people on this podcast can relate to that. They've had times in their life where they feel like they're not doing enough and I'm behind, and there's other people who I should be doing more. or there's a really tense, anxious, experiences happening in a family relationship. And so when I'm feeling that tension and that anxiety, what I'll do is I'll just relax my whole body. First thing to do is just relax all the muscles in my body, relax my neck, my shoulder, my hands. And I literally will just say to myself, I can handle this. I can handle this. And when I do that, it just really, very instantly takes all the tension off the experience. I can handle it. I can handle it. And if you really break down personal development in life, every person just wants to feel okay. I just want to be okay. I want to be relaxed. I want to be happy. I want to be at ease. I want my stresses, my worries to be gone. I just want to be okay. And so when we get into these moments of tension or anxiety or frustration or overwhelm, my favorite tool, just relax your body, relax all the tension, and just tell yourself, I can handle it. And if it continues to be really intense, instead of saying, oh, wow, this is hard, or man, this is too tough, change the way you talk to yourself and just say, oh, wow, this is what growth feels like. This is what growth feels like. It's really hard right now. Have a really intense experience in my relationship right now, or in my business, or in my health. And rather than saying, man, it's too hard, say, oh, wow, I'm growing. This is what growth feels like. Because my belief is that we all are on planet Earth right now to learn and evolve and grow and become better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, learning ain't easy.
It's not easy.
Right? You think about anything that you ever learned, how to ride a bike, how to tie your shoes. Right? Teaching my son how to tie shoes, frustrating. So frustrating. Teaching my son that he has to do this, this, and this before he can get this. Frustrating. It's the same lessons that we learn in our growth.
Yeah, there's, my favorite analogy is imagine for a moment that God or the universe, or whatever you believe in, gave you the gift that every time you touched a basketball and you shot it, it'd be a perfect swish. Imagine if that happened. Initially, it'd be really exciting. You'd go into the gym, you lay up, swish. Free throw, swish. Three-pointer, swish. Half-court shot, swish. Behind your head, full-court shot, swish. And everyone would be really, really, really excited. And you're like, I'm the man. And then you'd spin the ball on your finger and you throw it up and it'd be a swish. And then you go full-court shot and you throw it up and it'd be a swish. But after a while, it would kind of lose its zest. And it wouldn't be fun anymore. And then what actually would happen is that when you would go play pickup, people wouldn't pick you. And you actually wouldn't be allowed to play. And no one would want to play with you because it eliminates the fun of the game. Because the reason we enjoy playing sports or basketball is because we get better. We're trying to get better and we improve. And there's this unknown factor. Are we going to make it? Are we going to miss it? Or who's going to win in this? And if you were playing in those games, there would be no game because you would win every time. And eventually it would eliminate the whole experience. The reason we play basketball is because there's an element of growth and development and trying to get better and getting better and getting better. And so I see that it's a perfect analogy of life. If you got everything you wanted all the time, and if everything went your way perfectly all the time, it wouldn't be fun anymore. Like you wouldn't want to play anymore because it would eliminate this opportunity to grow and develop and evolve. And so things not going your way is actually happening for you, for your development, for your growth, for your evolution. If it wasn't hard, you wouldn't want to do it.
It's true.
Yeah.
There was an iconic photo of you that was taken years ago, and I'm interested to find out where you are now. The photo I'm talking about is you in front of those Laker fans with that Jazz jersey. The term viral probably wasn't even around when that photo was going around. But I want to know, are you keeping that same energy in LA? Are you still repping the Jazz?
I'm always repping the Jazz in LA.
Okay.
I'm always repping the Jazz. Yeah, I'm still a diehard Jazz fan, and every time the Jazz are playing the Clips or the Lakers, I always swing through and make it fun. But yeah, I used to rep I went from Andre Kirilenko jersey, then I repped a D. Will jersey, then I started repping a Joe Ingles jersey, and I just got my brand new purple Keontae George jersey. So I'm still repping the Jazz, baby.
I like that.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable, you've been vulnerable. You've talked about your truth in return with that, you're also telling the truth about something else and somebody else. How has that been with family, with friends? You know, you talked about being 6 years old and having molestation happen to you. Telling your truth, has it made things tricky within your family?
Not at all.
Friend group?
Not at all. I've been very lucky to have nothing but unconditional love and support, and I feel very blessed for that. And it set me free. Sharing my truth, sharing my vulnerability, sharing my shame, and the thing that I would never share with anyone. You know, to go deeper on that experience. So what happened? I was 6 years old. I had a best friend at the time, who was 8. So he was 8 years old. I was 6, 2 years older than me. And I'd go over to his house to play. And what would happen is he would take me into the back room, and he'd tell me to take my pants off and would molest me. And I wasn't really, I didn't get it. I wasn't sure what was going on. I was confused, but I remember the energy around it was that, like, this is bad. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. And also a lot of shame, and like, I can't ever tell anyone. I can't ever tell anyone that this happened. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anyone. And we grew up, and we went to the same elementary school. We went to the same junior high. And I remember when I'd see him, it was still like this secret, you know, from our childhood. And then when he was 16 and I was 14, he got into a car accident and passed away. And I remember when I heard that, my initial reaction was a sense of relief. Like, this is when my childhood best friend had just died, and I remember feeling a sense of relief because I'm like, oh, now no one will ever know. No one will ever know this secret. And I carried that weight with me for so long. And I remember, you know, it came up and actually in an ayahuasca ceremony. And I remember dealing with it and realizing that, like, we have these experiences that happen that are really intense and sad, and we lock them away and we carry it. And it's like having a backpack. And as you're climbing the mountain of life, you put these rocks in your backpack. And over years and years, you accumulate a lot of rocks and you're carrying a lot of weight. And once you do the work, and after this experience, I went to therapy and got the support that I needed through therapy. And then doing this work, it was the equivalent of having someone come up to me with a pair of scissors and cutting off that backpack. And it frees yourself. I'm like, wow, I can move, and I'm agile, and I can jump, and I can run a little bit quicker up the mountain. I didn't realize how much weight I was actually carrying. And so having the support, to answer your question, having the support of my family and my friends has meant everything.
I would think that it would be really tough, not only to deal with that as a kid. I feel like that kid would lash out, right? Like, that kid would turn into a product of our community that we don't want and that we don't need. But I don't feel like we were kids in high school, you know, and you've always treated me with respect. You're always kind and stuff like that. But I feel like a kid that carries these rocks has all the right to lash out, to be rude, to be a bully, to push people and things like that, and deflect a lot. But I've never seen you do that. I've never seen you just, you know, be a jerk.
Yeah, thank you. And when you have that mindset, I think it's a beautiful mindset in the sense of when you do see people lash out, it just reminds me of the quote that hurt people, right? And so when you see really erratic behavior, it's one of those opportunities where can you lean in with compassion? Can you lean in with a calm, open energy and realize, you know, this person's probably dealing with a lot of internal conflict and a lot of trauma. And when we can look at it that way, it really softens our response to that situation. And then we can actually open up and respond to an open, loving, compassionate way.
It's wild. I just had this conversation with my son, because my son, the 10-year-old, he just 5th grade, he just got into a fight, his first fight. And, you know, my son, he was talking about like, you know, like negative things towards that kid. And I was like, well, one thing you got to understand is that you don't know what that kid's going through.
Yeah.
You got to give this kid a chance to correct his wrongs. Talking about going back to school after his suspension and whatnot. You got to give this kid a chance to change. This is probably, it might have been a learning experience for him. You don't know what's going on in his family. You don't know what's going on in his life. Give him a chance to correct his wrongs. He might have just did this out of a split-second decision that, you know, maybe he's not proud of, you know, and it was one of those moments where I had to teach my son that we have to be able to give a little grace, give a little, empathy, think about their perspective on things as well. Even though you're the victim, you did nothing wrong, but at the same time, you have to show some compassion to the people that do wrong sometimes.
Yeah, it reminds me of an insight that was really eye-opening for me, was when I understood that if you personally knew every experience someone has had, I'm talking about every little detail, from the way they were raised, to the music they listened to the movies they watched, to that one thing their third grade teacher said to them, to the relationships they've had, to the heartbreaks. If you knew every experience that someone has been through, their behavior would make perfect sense to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's moral or right or just or in integrity, but you would understand why people do the things that they do. And when I understood that and really sat with that insight, it really brought a lot of calmness to my life, because you have people in your life that respond sporadically and you're like, what is going on? Why is that person doing that thing? Like, why are they treating so-and-so and whatnot? And when you understand them, like, yeah, if I actually knew everything this person was going through, right, what they were doing would make sense and I could have compassion. And the most extreme example of that was when, a couple years ago, we had the big COVID thing go down, and at the same time of the political election. And regardless of what your personal stance is, whether you wore a mask or didn't wear a mask, if you saw someone doing the opposite of your stance, whether it was pro-mask or anti-mask, we tend to judge that person, right? Whatever your stance was, doesn't matter. You judge them like, oh, that person's either selfish or that person is a sheep or whatever. And there was so much tension in life when that was going on. And I would just, I would catch myself casting a judgment, and then I would catch myself and say, you know what? If I understood every single situation that this person has gone through, their decision to be pro or anti-mask would make perfect sense. And it just allowed me to move through life with so much more compassion, and like the tension and the anger and the upset, frustration, and internal feelings just went away. And so I would encourage anyone listening to this, if someone in your life is reacting or treating you in a way that you don't approve of, or that you don't think is moral or just look at this situation and tell yourself, if I understood every single experience this person has had, pleasurable and unpleasurable, intense and frustration and heartbreak, their behavior would make perfect sense.
Do you talk to kids like about alchemy, about this right here, what you've been telling us?
I've actually just spoke to the Cottonwood High School football team.
Really?
A couple of weeks ago, yeah. So I've done a little high
shout
school.
out to Monroe, shout out to all the Colt guys out there, man.
Cottonwood Colt pride, baby.
That's right.
Let's go.
It's a brotherhood they don't understand.
They don't get it. They don't get it.
So how was that experience?
It was beautiful, right? Coach Donovan Milrose brought me in, shout out Cottonwood Colts, and asked me to talk to the guys. And so I had a great opportunity to speak to the team. And there's, it's always great to share with the high schoolers.
I think that they can really benefit from this knowledge, this talking, right? Because they're going through it right now. Mm-hmm. They're going through things, and they're holding on to things that that a lot of people don't understand or know or see. We all wear a smile, but who knows? They might be going through a really hard time. They might not even want to play football.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when you were talking about the church, right? How many people go through the motions of this church thing just because their family does it, or it's expected, or you feel some type of, you're going to let somebody down if you don't do it. I'm very happy and blessed to have a father that supported me no matter what I want to do. If I had, if I had interest in going to church, he was like, go to church, do your thing. But if I didn't, he was like, all right, well, do something positive.
Well, yeah.
But I know that's not the case for everybody.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you have these experiences. Your childhood really does shape you. Your parents' beliefs shape you. Your parents' political beliefs, religious beliefs, it really kind of ingrains the foundation. And you have this opportunity as you kind of evolve and come into this coming of age where you can start to question that. And I think that's an important time of life for a lot of people. Is you get to this point in your life where you start to question your beliefs, and then that's where I think a large majority of growth comes from, is when you start to question your beliefs you were raised with, and that can give you a really sturdy foundation within yourself to move forward in your life.
So you did an app, you did a book, you're doing the live workings with people. Mm-hmm. What's the next thing for Alchemy? What's the next thing for Doug Cartwright?
That's such an interesting question. So I just hosted this in-person event, 100 people up in the desert in California. And one of the members of Alchemy came up to me. You know, we threw an epic event, life-changing event. And he was like, hey, man, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And my response to that was, well, I've been wrong about everything in my life. I'm terrible at predicting my life. I don't know about you, but I'm really bad at predicting my life. I've been really wrong about a lot of things. And so I said, I don't know. I think one thing in life is a gift that I've given myself is I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm not in a rush to have all the puzzle pieces. I just know that if I can do my absolute best at my present task, the next opportunity will open up for me. And so for me, a lot of my focus right now is this event in January. I'm just going to go throw the best event that I possibly can. January 23rd and 24th. It's Tuesday and Wednesday in Provo, Utah. alchemysalescoaching.com to get tickets. Like if I just focus on that event and do my absolute best, the next opportunity will show up. You know, if you had told me 5 years ago today, what does the next 5 years look like? I would have been very wrong. And so I think that's just a really beautiful way to live life, is rather than trying to figure out all the pieces and have everything in order and make sure you have all your ducks in a row. It's just give your absolute best effort to the moment in front of you.
Was it hard for you to learn how to live in the moment?
Yeah, it still is hard. It's a constant practice. And things that have always really, really helped me get present is meditation practice is really important to me, and breath work. And it's a daily ritual I do every day just to kind of remind myself that just bring it back to the present, bring it back to the present. You know, we can't predict the future, right? The best thing I can do for my business and those around me is give the moment in front of me my very best effort. And so a tip that I would share, if anyone that has a struggle of being present or feeling like they're stuck in the past or anxious about the future, is my favorite definition of mindfulness, which is to accept the present moment exactly how it is without wanting anything to be different. What does that mean? Can I be where I'm at, where my feet are, and let the moment be exactly what it is, let it be perfect without trying to change it or manipulate it? And my favorite story with this is, you know, a couple of years ago, this is probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was in LA before I moved there, and I had a meeting about 45-minute Uber ride away. And I was running a little late that morning, and I had a bunch of emails I needed to knock out. So my thought process was, I'll get in the Uber, I'll do my emails in my car ride before my meeting. So I get in this Uber, and I get one of those drivers that's just like chatty. Hey, bro, what's going on? Where are you from? How's the weather? What do you like to do? And he's just going and talking. And in my head, I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, I need to do these emails. Like, stop talking. And then I remembered this quote. Can I accept the present moment exactly how it is without wanting anything to be different? So I took a deep breath. I put my phone down, and I fully engaged with this guy. And we were talking about sports and Park City and restaurants, and he'd spent time up here and skiing, and he's laughing. We finally get to the destination, and we pull up, and he parks the car, and he turns around to me, and he says, hey, thank you so much for talking with me. And I'm like, yeah, bro, no problem. He goes, to be honest, I actually don't need to drive Uber. I'm a developer, but I live alone, and I don't have that many friends, and I get no human interaction. So the only reason why I drive is to like talk to real people. And I was like, whoa.
That's big, man.
It hit me. And I'm like, wow, the power of being present, the power of being mindful. And so, yeah, can this moment be perfect exactly the way it is? Can you just let it be what it is without trying to change it?
I need to be better about that.
It's tough.
Because being a father, man, being in our mid 30s, it's, you take a step back and it's like, bro, how much more time do we have? You know, like, I mean, another 30 years, it's gonna be in our 60s. You know what I mean? Like it's a part of me where I don't want to call it a midlife crisis, but when you think about years, when you think about time, it really gets me anxious, you know? So I was telling my boy Wonder about this, and he was like, live in the present. Live in the present and do what you can. Do what brings you fulfillment, you know? And I've been trying to live that life a little bit more, and so far it's been good.
No one's getting out of here alive, Dre.
That's right. It's very
We're
true.
all going down.
Well, I don't know. Elon might make something.
Elon might, right. Yeah, and I think accepting death, this is going to sound like maybe intense, but like accepting death is actually a way to increase your ability to be present. Like, I'm going to die. Everyone I love is going to die. Everyone I know is going to die.
Jesus Christ, Doug.
Right? And but it's true.
It's very true.
It's true. Like 100 years from now, everyone you interact with will be dead. Yeah. So because of that, right, I accept that, right? How can I live my life more full, more expansive, and just go for it? Because it really doesn't matter. And so I think accepting your death is actually a really important piece of creating a life of ease and expansion.
Then why do we keep doing this thing? Like, why do we go all in on alchemy, knowing that will alchemy live on after you? You know what I mean? The teachings that you teach people right now, they're gonna die. Are they gonna continue to teach other people? You know what I mean? Like, that's where it's like, what do we do all this for?
Yeah, so there's kind of like stages where it's like, if everyone's going to die, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? What's the point? It's like, sure, you can live that life and kind of be mopey and be depressed or be like, there's no point, kind of the victim mentality, but you only get one life.
True.
I'm 34. I've statistically have 40 years left, 50 years left, right? I want to enjoy them. I want, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, true success to me is when life is happening inside of me in a beautiful way. So if I have 50 years left, I want to have joy and peace and bliss and excitement and connection and expansion, right? And does it matter? I don't think so. Maybe not. Probably not. But for the next 50 years, I want to have the most pleasure internally. I want to have the clearest mind, feel at ease and steady, and feel like I'm doing some good. And maybe my stuff goes on and maybe it doesn't. But I'm going to ride these 50 years away all the way to the end.
I love that. You know what? How are you with sounds?
With sounds?
Yeah.
I'm not very good, but we're about to find out actually.
Hey, Dre, would you calm down for a moment and just let me talk? Just at this point, you're just rambling. All right. What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Will Wonder, and I have a podcast called The Will Wonder Pod. I know, super original name, but I promise you'll love it. We talk sports, we talk music, and generally have some really interesting interviews with people that are doing some really cool things. So make sure you check it out wherever you get your podcast. Once again, that is the Will Wonder Pod. All right, Dre, go on about your business, whatever the fuck you were talking about.
If you're a sports athlete looking for a mouthguard to protect your pearly whites, look no further than All Sports Mouthguards.
All Sports Mouthguards, located in West Jordan, Utah. Come visit us, 1385 West, 9000 South in West Jordan, Utah. We offer high quality, made in the USA, custom molded and custom designed mouthguards.
What?
What?
What is that noise? What's That Noise is actually powered by the good folks over at Fierce Fighting Championship. Are you an MMA guy?
I'm not an MMA guy, but I will watch it when it's on.
Okay.
Yep.
So Fierce Fighting Championship, they're a local promote. Well, I shouldn't even say local because they travel, but they're an MMA promotion. They got fights going on November 17th at the Maverick Center. Fierce Fighting Championship number 28, Mafaleo versus Abi. And tickets are available at fiercefightingchampionship.com. A lot of fun, man. We got some really talented fighters here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, I really appreciate that technique that goes into that.
Yeah. All right. So what's that noise? I'm going to play a noise.
Right.
And if you can get it right, I'll give you some money. All right. Here we go. Here is the noise. If you want to play at home, 385-240-4666 is the number. Drop your comments. Leave a voice note. You know what to do. Here is the noise.
That's it.
That is the noise.
Oh, it sounds like, I have no idea. It sounds like someone's clicking I have no idea.
I need something a little bit more.
It's like someone's clicking a water bottle or something.
Is that what you want to lock
That's
in?
I'm locking in. I have no idea. It's going to be wrong, though.
Clicking a water bottle. 385-240-4666. Get your guesses in as well. Here's the noise one more time. Clicking a water bottle is what Doug put in. It is not clicking a water bottle. But that was a good guess.
I have no idea.
Not clicking a water bottle. Get your guesses in. 385-240-4666 is the number for your chance to win some money. I'll send some money your way. Very simple, very easy. All right, so that wasn't right. If you can keep a secret, I will tell you afterwards.
Oh, okay. We'll find out after.
Yeah. I'll tell you
No idea.
after. All right, let's jump into questions.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Hos.
And this is host Beefy,
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
Having a good barber is essential, but having that good barbershop experience is even more essential. Get the barbershop experience you deserve with Boogie Down Barbershop, now located at 7378 South Plaza Center Drive in West Jordan, suite number 106. Gentlemen's cuts, tapers, fades, and even a hot towel shave is on the menu. So book your appointment today at boogiedownbarbershop.com and even follow us on social media at the Boogie Down Barber.
Okay.
So Questions is powered by a bar named Sue, 8136 South State Street and the Highland location as well. Live music, sporting events, free bar games like pool, darts, really a lot of fun. Great
Love bar
food.
name Sue.
Yeah, great food, great drinks, and also a bar named Sue, UFC pay-per-views. Go on to abarnamedSue.com to find out more. So I asked the internet, I said, hey, send me your questions.
Yeah.
Do this every show. We can get some really good ones. We can get some really poor ones. They don't know who the guest is, so
Okay.
this is pretty cool. All right, first question comes from Jordan in Sandy, Utah. If you could visit any planet, which one would you want to visit?
Planet?
Yeah.
Well, it would have to be a planet that has, it isn't a gas planet. I would love to go to Saturn, but it's a gas planet. I think it'd be cool to see the rings. But it's got to be Mars, baby, because that's possible. So if I could get on with Elon, get in one of those SpaceX, I think I would go.
I mean, we're there, right? There's a
It's
rover
happening.
there.
I will say this. So Mars is the answer. And I do have a goal in my life, like on my bucket list, that before I die, I want to go to space and see the Earth in its full circular form.
Ooh,
Lifetime goal before I die.
it's possible.
I think it's going to happen.
That's awesome.
So Mars, we're going to Mars, baby.
So you're not a flat earther?
Well, I mean, whatever the opposite of a flat earther is me.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a planet. I would just take me to the moon.
Let's go to the moon.
Yeah, just go to the moon.
I would love to go to the moon.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I want to see if the flag is actually up there. That's the whole reason. I want
Stay
to
tuned. We'll find out.
debunk some stuff.
Uh-huh.
All right. Jessica Smith in Portland, Oregon. Shout out to my Portland folks. Are you traveling for the holidays?
For the holidays, I will be traveling back to Utah.
You coming back?
I'm coming back. I'm
So-
back for Thanksgiving.
Let's get together. Let's do a real quick radio hit for the January
Yep.
event.
Would love to.
So we'll come up to the radio station. We'll hit the
Let's
the
hit it.
January event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love to. Yeah. I'll be back. I'm traveling back to Utah for the holidays, baby.
What do the holidays mean to you?
It's just a great time to unplug from work and reconnect with my family. You know, one thing that is nice about having my main home in LA, when I do feel like I'm in Utah, it almost has like a vacation feel to it now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can kind of get away from work. I can connect with family. It's kind of, there's snow here, so it's a little cozy. And so we kick the TV up, turn the fire on, hang out with friends. I've got a ton of nieces and nephews. And so it's just a really good time to connect. And so the holidays are really, really, really special. Thanksgiving and Christmas are both epic for me.
Dope. Are you family still on the east side?
East side, yes, sir.
Dope. I will be staying. Well, I mean, traveling within the valley. I guess
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
go
yeah.
to Ogden. Go hang out with my my wife's family and, do that thing.
Cool, brother.
All right. Thank you for your question. Harper and West Valley City, would you participate in the Squid Game?
The Squid Game. So shockingly, I haven't seen it.
What?
I know.
Well, I mean, it doesn't shock me because
Yeah.
you're such a a guy that I don't feel like you watch TV.
I watch sports.
Mm.
Yeah, I watch sports. I don't really watch everything. But tell me if I'm wrong here. From what I have heard about Squid Game's basically the concept is people who have debts or need money, and then they do these really gnarly, intense experiments, and if you win, you win money. Is that kind of what it was?
Yeah, so there's games, right? There's
Yeah.
a bunch of people, like you said, have hardships, and they get to participate in the game. And if they lose, their earnings go to a bigger bucket.
Yep.
So it just keeps adding till the last person wins, and they get the bucket of money.
Yeah.
Really intense games. I
Yeah.
mean, people lose their lives if they don't make it.
Yeah.
And Netflix is actually doing a live Squid Game.
Wow.
So it's not a show. It's not the show.
It's reality. I had a friend who was on it,
Oh, really?
who was on the reality show for Squid Games. One of my friends in LA was a participant on
Well,
the reality show.
I would love to talk
Yeah.
to him.
Yep.
I got Zoom. I can
Yeah.
zoom in with them.
Zoom him in.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
If I'm not dying, I would love to participate. I think it'll be fun.
I wouldn't participate.
No,
No.
not even on some fictional.
Not if I'm
have
gonna
fun?
die. I mean, if there's like my life's on the line.
You're gonna die anyway, Doug.
Yeah. I don't think I would do it.
All right. Johnny in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Shout out to my Idaho folks. How happy are you that the Ducks beat Utah?
Oh man, going for the jab here. It's funny because I'm a diehard Utes fan, and we had college game day here, and Pat McAfee and the Utes were getting fired up. And the night before the game, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, I tweeted out, and I'm like, this game's got a lot of vibes of the 2010 Utah TCU game. So if anyone who knows about that game, 2010, Utah was like 5th, TCU was 3rd, game day was here, all the hoo-ha. And that game started and TCU blew them out 47-7. Like, it wasn't even close. And so all this energy was going on the live TV shows, and I'm like, this doesn't feel good. A lot of injuries from the Utes, and so Oregon just came in and did work, executed, laid the hammer on. And so didn't sting too bad. But I was more disappointed that it was an exciting game. It was kind of a dud of a game.
I told my friends that if it was a blackout, you guys would have won.
If it was a night game and it was a blackout, Utes were getting that W.
I mean, Halloween weekend.
I know. Everything was teed up.
Man, and then you had Coach Witt come in on the Harley.
I know.
Oh,
Gun
had the
showing,
guns
did
out.
the arm wrestle, the whole thing.
Steve Smith was there. I haven't seen Steve Smith in a minute.
I know. Yeah. So it was really fun. It was a really fun weekend for all the hype.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the game was kind of low. I'm sure you're stoked on the Ducks win.
Well, I haven't been able to gloat.
Mm-hmm.
You guys killed us in 2021. You guys are back-to-back Pac-12 champions.
Yep.
We're used to, being us and USC.
Yep.
But, we had to get our payback.
Yep. You got it.
Closed out. Well, I mean, we still got the Pac-12 championship.
Yep.
I don't know how that looks, but I'm happy.
Ducks played well.
All right, Nate in Westchester, New York. One must go. Bacon, toast, eggs, or hash browns?
Hash browns.
You're not a hash
Easy.
brown
Not
guy?
a hash browns guy. Bacon's for sure staying.
Yeah.
Bacon's untouchable. Right? Toast and eggs. Oh yeah, you can do that anytime.
Yeah.
Hash browns though, it's like depends. You've had really good hash browns in your life.
Yeah.
You've also had really bad hash browns.
It's very true.
Right? So I think the scale there of like hash browns, we can eliminate it altogether because you can't really screw up toast, can't really screw up eggs, and bacon's untouchable.
Yeah. Bacon, I mean, I love them charred.
Yep. Doesn't matter. Give me all the bacon.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I think if anything has to go, it has to be the hash browns.
Yeah, you got to cut the hash browns.
Okay, last question here comes from Travis Scott in Salt Lake City, Utah. Do 5-year plans still exist?
I think it's interesting because we talked about that, right? So this is what I would say about a 5-year plan. I would say big goals held loosely. So have a vision, have a plan, have an idea or a vision that'll get you out of bed, right? To get you moving in the right direction, but be open to it changing, right? So I definitely set goals. I set big goals, big extravagant goals that seem way out of my realm of reality. that get me moving. And I'm very, very open to it being a completely different path that I wasn't seeing. One of my favorite quotes, this is from Rumi, who's an ancient Sufi poet. He says, once you start walking, the path will appear. Once you start walking, the path will appear. Most people never start walking because they're too concerned about what other people think or what's it going to be like, or I need to have all the information first before I get moving. But just move. Just take the first step. And then once you start moving, the new path will appear. So 5-year vision, I think, is important to get you a sense of direction. But then once you start walking, the path will adjust and change in a way you can't even possibly imagine.
Like you said, do the work.
Got to do the work.
Did anything ever come up? Did you ever do work with the software developer, the Uber driver?
The Uber driver. What do you mean?
Did you ever end up did you do any work with him?
Oh, no. It was just like a great conversation. I think he was doing a different type of software.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was great. I mean, that was an all-time memory.
I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if he ever worked with him.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
All right, thank you for your questions, by the way. If you want to leave more questions, make sure you follow me on Instagram at DreRawka, DreRawka. Let's jump into a segment called P or Not P.
Hey, yo, you're probably listening to the Unrestricted podcast with DreRawka. We are? No, they are. Yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the real Ruby. You can catch me and Fonzie and the
Funk.
G-Daddy Funk on Lake Talk 801 podcast.
Yeah, but I think you have to come in more smoother, more funnier. And they could catch us on the Lake Talk 801 podcast.
Yeah, y'all can catch us on the Lake Talk 801.
Yeah, and be like, and yeah, man, hey. They could catch people like me, the real Ruby, and people like you, Fonzie, and people like him, G-Daddy Funk,
wow,
on
that's
the
a
Lake
lot of
Talk
people.
801. Who cares?
What did he say?
Huh?
I didn't hear him.
I don't know, but this probably should be the ad.
Are these on?
Catch a new episode every Monday on all streaming platforms. The Lake Talk 801. Tune in now.
I'm a player, man. I'm a pimp, and I don't have to deal with. You got your shirt on backwards, player. Players, fuck up.
P or not P? That is the question.
So back in our day, it was like, is that a player move? Keep it player. But the kids today are saying push and P, right? So I'm gonna give you some scenarios, and you have to tell me if it's P or not P, or cool or not cool.
Got it.
All right.
So P is cool and P is not cool.
Not P is not cool.
Not P.
P is cool.
P is cool.
All right. And P or not P is powered by Main Street Quality Meats. Do you have a butcher back in LA?
Oh yeah.
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 Good butcher.
I love my meats.
That's right. 4th-generation butchers promising fresh, never frozen quality meats. You can also get delivery if you're not in the greater tri-state area. MainStreetQualityMeats.com. Okay, first one is going to a function or a party empty-handed.
Oh man, just depends. I think my gut say is not cool. Right? I'm a big believer that always provide, always be of service, always give. It depends on the event, but if it's kind of like your homies, close-knit friends, you got your hanging out, yeah, definitely bring drinks or food or whatever. So not bringing something is not cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like if you're hosting, like let's say the boys are coming over for a sports game or whatever, bring something, some wings, some chips, dip, something.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. All right, saying you're with the band to get into the concert for free.
With the band?
Yeah,
Not
I'm with
cool.
the band.
Not cool. Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like that?
Not like that. I think back in the day, in my early 20s, I thought it used to be fun to sneak into things. But now it's like, no, my goal, I believe in karma. Right? So do everything with integrity. And life tends to pay you back if you live a good life. So I always like to say pay extra. I always tip 20%. Right? The more money I give away, I feel like the more I get in return. So I'm trying to bank those karma points as much as I can.
Yeah.
Right. So like if I'm going to go see a band, I'm not only am I going to buy a ticket, but I'm also going to try and buy merch. Just give them all the good vibes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Any bands that you love right now?
Oh man, I love Rufus Du Sol.
Where are they from?
They're Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Rufus Du Sol, my favorite right now. I'm really liking Ben Bomer. Right. Like more like EDM house. Rufus, Odessa. I like Odessa. You know.
Did they ever come to the States?
Yeah, Rufus has done a couple tours here. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to get into Alchemy free. But when I was younger, I used to be like, hey, I'll carry crates for DJs, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day. So I'm with the band. I'm doing something. But support locals, like support your favorite musicians. That's one thing about being here in Utah that I find being tricky is that we're 6 degrees from everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we know everybody because we all grew up in this small town, this small city. One thing I do realize is that people tend to support differently because they still see you as, you know, little Doug from down the street.
Yeah.
You know, even though you're doing these massive things and people in LA probably look at you like, whoa, look what this cool thing this guy's doing. But we have these shades of like, we still remember you from, you know, grade school and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I go through.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, yo, I'm doing this event. I'm doing this cool thing. I'm meeting cool people.
Yeah.
I'm on the radio. I'm doing this cool thing. And they're like, yeah, but you're just Dre from down the street.
Yep.
But I'm still doing cool things. I need you to come and support.
Yeah.
Share. And it's a little tough sometimes.
That happens for sure.
Okay. Tattooing a spouse's name on you.
Say it one more time.
Tattooing a spouse's name on you.
Tattooing a spouse's name. I mean, I've never been married, so I don't know. But I would say,
would you?
If I met the absolute love of my life and I was crazy in love, sure, why not? Yeah, cool. I think it's cool.
You can always get it removed.
Hey, I think it's cool. I'm down with that.
All right. Lying about your kids' age to get something free.
Not cool.
All right.
Yeah, definitely not cool. Got to keep those karma points up.
Yeah.
Keep the karma points up.
Owning a bird.
A bird? Sure. Cool. Right?
Would you?
I mean, I probably wouldn't. But here's the thing. I think you got to let people love the things they love.
Yeah.
Right? If you love it and you're all about it, hell yeah. Get you fired up, support it. And I think one common, thing about society that I wish, we could do some work on is not putting down someone who's really, really into something.
Yeah.
Right? Let people have their passions. So if you got a friend, he's a diehard, loves his birds, let him have all his birds. Let's not make fun of him. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Support him. Support people who love what they like to do.
I'm a bad friend because I'll make fun of you. I'll go, why you got a bird in your house, bro? I love you, but come on.
I think it's cool.
No doubt. All right. Using your spouse's toothbrush.
Cool. No problem with that. For me, I'm not a germaphobe. I share my toothbrush with my girlfriend.
There you
right?
go.
I have no problem.
I tell my wife, get your own. Owning light up sneakers.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
Did
think
you ever own the LA Gears?
I don't think I ever had any, but I do have some. I have some Reeboks that are glow in the dark.
Oh, dope.
I know. So I wear those when I go to music shows or whatnot. Like, I think it's cool.
Are you a sneaker guy?
No, I'm not. And here's why. I know that if I get into it, I'm gonna get into it. And so it's just like one of those things. I'm on the edge. I'm like, oh, those are cool. But if I buy one pair, then I'm gonna end up getting 30 pair. Yeah. So, but I respect the shoe game though.
You're a jersey guy though, right?
I used to be a jersey guy in high school. I used to collect NBA jerseys. I don't anymore, but I've got 50 high school NBA jerseys.
All right. Going to a concert alone.
So cool. I've done that all the time. I went to Coldplay by myself 2 weeks ago.
How was it?
Loved it. I've been to a couple of shows. I've been to Big Wild by myself. Coldplay. Yeah, I've been to 2 concerts by myself, and I think it's amazing.
My friends made fun of me. I went to Andrew Schultz. He's a comedian. I went by myself. Wise guys.
Yeah.
My friends, why'd you go to by yourself? I was like, I'm a fan of his work, and I'm gonna go regardless. If you guys want to come. But
yeah, I've been to FKJ by myself too.
See,
in Boston.
Yeah. You came in. I was bumping FKJ.
FKJ.
A lot of people don't know about him.
FKJ smooth.
Yeah. He does all his own music too. It's really dope.
Uh-huh.
All right, last one. Dating a friend's ex.
Not cool.
But what if it calls you? What if it's like that's the love of your life, even though the homie used to be with them?
Yeah, my initial gut reaction says not cool, and depends on the circumstance. So if it's like, hey, we dated years ago, if you get both people's blessing, I'm gonna say cool.
I think there'll be some undertone weirdness though.
Yeah. My initial gut is say not cool.
Yeah.
But I think if you get both people's blessing, you get your homie's blessing, you get her blessing. It's been a couple of years, all the dust has settled. Feels good. Sure.
No doubt. Doug Cartwright, owner, creator of Alchemy Sales Coaching. where can we follow? Where can we follow this journey? What do you have coming up? I know we got an event in January. Go ahead and plug all the stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me on social at Doug_Cartwright. I do answer all my DMs. So if you've got a question or an insight or want to share some knowledge, hit me up. You can find my book on Amazon. It's called Holy Shit, We're Alive. And then we've got the event, Alchemy Excellence event, January 23rd and 24th, right here in Provo, Utah. Alchemysalescoaching.com to get tickets. Hit me up if you want to get a ticket, hit me up on Instagram. I'll get you a referral code and get you a discount on that.
Who's a good person? Who's a good fit for this? This is for everyone. There's age restrictions. Who's a good fit for this event?
This event we're going really broad here. So it's going to be anyone who's striving to find more excellence in their life, whether that's physically, your mental health, your relationships, or finding, deeper purpose on a spiritual level. So anyone who's striving for excellence in their life and want to improve, this event is for you.
And we got guest speakers?
We've got a lot of guest speakers. We got 15 guest speakers right now.
Anybody you want to mention, or is it kind of a secret?
It's dropping soon. We're getting some final confirmations on some people, but it's going to be an event you're not going to want to miss. Some very, very successful people.
I love it. I really appreciate your time, brother. I know you're about to go head to brunch. So, man, I just appreciate conversating with you. And I hope the listeners, hopefully they got some gems out of this. And yeah, man, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Dre.
Absolutely. Allrock.com, ALLRAWK.com. Go get some merch, support the podcast, share it with a friend. If you can't make a purchase, it's free to share. It's free to like, comment, all that good stuff. I really appreciate you. As always, protect your light and have the day you deserve. We out. Peace.